Hey guys, it's Captain Geek and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing some poster design for sports and advertisement. So anyway, let's get started. It's going to be a black and white kind of theme. I'm using my favorite soccer player, Lionel Messi. So anyway, let's get started here. First thing we want to do is, as always, create a background. So let's make that completely black and add a gradient ramp. So let's make it radial, and let's put it right here, and then invert the colors, obviously, and then change this color to darker gray, and the primary color to black, and then invert the colors. There we go. And now we add another layer and send this as our black backdrop. It's hard to say. And then fill it with a right click, and this will be called our black backdrop. So now what we can do is actually go to our background and change the opacity of this to be at 159. That should be good. Oops, I want to do that. So I think we should use this picture for the tutorial. So Control C and then add new layer. And let's rename this main Messi 1. And then Control V. I'm not sure if that's going to be too small yet. But now what we need to do is add some basic color correction. So let's go into hue and saturation first off. Let's change the saturation all the way down, and the lightness to be about here. Now the hue won't matter, so let's just leave it at that. And then adjustments, levels. Actually, we don't need to do levels right about now. Curves. And we can either brighten or lower the image. I think it should be right about here. And create a little S for a higher contrast. And then let's go to RGB and turn that a bit lower than it was. Actually, the center should be good, so press OK. And this is without the curves, and this is with. Actually, don't see a difference, so that really shouldn't matter. But anyway, now that we have our basic color correction, what we can do is actually change the backdrop of this to be a bit lower. So about here. And that should be good. Now what we can do is actually get in our assets. So like, let's go into open. And then we can go into, forget which one it is. I think it's this one. Let's get in our particles and our light. And 2 flares should work. So now we can copy this and add new layer. This will be called light 1. And make sure everything is under the light. But now we can scale this image up. As you can see, it looks really bad right now, especially because it's a black background. So what we need to do is change the blending mode to additive, and then lower the opacity by just a bit. And then we can go to effects, blurs, Gaussian blur. And this will basically smooth out those lines we see. So of course it doesn't need to be this extreme, but you can if you want to. I think I'll go with 39. That should be good to go. Of course you can still see some, but that is okay. And another thing we can do is actually add a better background. So we can add a stadium. So let's go into open. And I'm not sure where I left it last, but we will, I think it was here, yeah. So Control C and then add new layer, and this will be called stadium, and then Control V, keep canvas size. Let's make this bigger. It doesn't matter if we're enlarging the pixels because this will be Gaussian blurred because it is way too focused right now. Oops, don't want to crop it to selection. Just deselect. And effects, blurs, Gaussian blur. Oops, we don't want it for this. We want it for the stadium effects. Blurs, Gaussian blur. Now we don't want it to be that extreme. Maybe a 20. Yeah, maybe 11 would work. Okay. So now we can go into our stadium and lower the opacity of that. And then adjustments, hue and saturation. And this one doesn't need to be all the way. It can just be up to here. And that would be good to go. And now what we can do is actually we can start doing the main creativity. So let's change this to glows 1. And what we can do is we can add some good color correction with this. Let's change the blending mode to color dodge. And let's leave the opacity at where it is. So now as you can see, because the main color is gray, it is blending in with the background. That's what the blending mode color dodge does. So let's change the color of this. So let's see. Let's change the color to be a bluish tone. So now we can go here. As you can see, it's giving a nice glow. Let's actually turn the hardness down all the way. So the first thing we can do is add some adjustments on his hair. So let's actually turn the brush size to be about 10. And now we can actually zoom in and add some on the tip of his hair so that we get some nice, start off the grid. And then we could add some slight ones right there. Some here. Some here. Some here. 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 And now we have a nice glow going on the tip of his hairs. So there we go. We can add a bit more there. Now if we zoom back out, he looks like a clown right about now, but that will be fixed. Color dodge or color burn? Yeah, it's actually color burn. I'm sorry about that, guys. Color burn, color dodge. Let's actually see which ones go good with it. Difference, maybe. Nope. Darken. Color burn. Multiply. All have the same effect. Let's actually change it to color burn. And then zoom back in. And now the tips of his hairs are actually blue. So that looks nice. And then we can add some more here to his Nike badge and change this to a blue as well. And what this is doing is adding colors in spots we want color. So let's zoom back in. And I know it looks blurry, but it actually isn't. It's just that we're zoomed in all the way, so just do it. So now we have this, and then we can change the curvature by just a bit. And there we go. There we should have it. And I think we can actually change it to color dodge. Let's see how that looks. So you can see it looks a bit more messy. You get that? Okay. Anyway, let's actually turn down the opacity of this. And as you can see, we're just adding some color correction So it's going to have a bluish theme. So what we're doing is adding it to the highlights of the image. So as you can see here, you could use some, maybe some on his collar, on his FC Barcelona logo, of course. That's something he's going to need it at. Maybe there. Now as you can see, he's having a better kind of glow. And I forget what, this is on overlay, okay. So now, I can go back here and erase these edges right here. And there we go. And then we can go here and change this to 50. And then this is basically just like adding a glow, as I said. And it looks like it's turning out pretty well. And remember, the blending mode for this is overlay. So, yeah. I'll let you guys watch through this. It might be fast forwarded right about now. So, let's actually do this. That should be good. And then let's see how this looks. Nice, nice, nice. Where else can we add it? Should we add it on his face? Not really. Not giving us the look that we want. It looks like a Smurf. So we're not gonna have that right about now. So I think this should be good. And now we can add our particles. This will be particles. So we have these particles, but I like these other ones. I just got open, and then if we go to photography, stock, and I recommend you guys organize your particles and assets like so as well. So actually key out the background and then Control C, and then add it to particles, Control V, and then we can turn up the size a bit, and then deselect, so we can move it to be here. And then what we can do now is also add the glows to this, but we will add another layer called particle glows, and then we'll change the blending mode to overlay again. Oops, overlay, and let's just color this entire area. So what I can actually do is change the brush size to 500. As you can see, that might be a bit harsh, so we can change it to 300. Let's try 350 actually. Oh, looks like we undid that too, so let's change it to particle glow. Sorry about this, guys. And then change the blending mode to overlay again. Let's get rid of the big clumps first. So these parts. And then what we can do is change the brush size to be about 100, and then click on the little bigger parts, and this is adding glows to almost all of them. So it's basically adding them to the big clumps. I can add some there. And we may change the hue and saturation of this. I mean the hue of this. So this will now we can go to adjustments, hue and saturation. Let's turn the saturation up. The lightness, it's maybe too bright. Let's change that to red. How would that look? A little too blood red. I think blue looks the best. You could desaturate it just a bit. So this would be good. And change the lightness lower. Turn the saturation up. As you can see, it's all about tweaking. Change the saturation all the way up. And that should be good. Now we have our final part of the tutorial, which is adding text. So as you can see, it's not too big of a composition, but now we can add text. And let's name this text. Let's actually make it bigger. And I had some new fonts I just got. Let's see which font to use. We have Geomanist, Book, Extra Light, Light, Medium, Regular, Thin, Ultra. Let's actually go with Light. And then let's name this Leo. No. Messy. Not exactly the theme I'm looking for. Maybe if we caps it. Not exactly. And so what we can do now is change the font to be X4 decoder. So what we can do is change the size of this to be about 144. Maybe that works. And then change the color to be white. So that's gray. Maybe if we bold the font. Not really. So I think we'll go with unisons. Yeah, this looks awesome. So actually what we can do is change this font size to be 216. And then we'll put this right here. And then add another layer. And this will be subtext. And then this one will be Leonel. But what we'll do is we'll have it in a thin. So now we have Leonel. And then we can change the font size of this to be 144. And then move the font to be over here. That should be good to go. Nice, nice. And then what we can do is select both of these so we can actually merge the layer down. And there we go, that should be good. Deselect effects. We might need to go here and lower this, change the softness all the way up, and then increase the width. And we might want to make it angled. and going. And then we can lower the width. So that's with it, and this is without. I think it looks better with. And then also what we can do is Control C and Control V. And then, oops, Control Z. Let's not paste it just yet. And then this will be motion blur, messy, and Control V. Then effects, blurs, motion blur. And we'll have this going this way as well. Change the distance to be higher. Okay. And adjustments here and saturation. Now we can't really change that, but we can change this. And then we can change the opacity. First off, we might want to change it to overlay. Actually, then we can't see anything, so maybe additive. And then lower the opacity by a bunch, just until we get a kind of haze of the motion blur. And that should be good to go. There we go, guys. We have a little poster design. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, a like is always appreciated. And as always, geek on.